William Cohen is joining us. He was the Secretary of Defense during the Bill Clinton administration. You have confidence, Secretary Cohen, in the direction of this Trump administration strategy in dealing with the Syrian regime?
Well, we don't know the strategy. We know that there was a strike, and the question will become, is there a comprehensive strategy looking at both Syria, Russia to be sure, but also Iran, and maybe even Hezbollah? There has to be a comprehensive strategy dealing with the entire region. Otherwise, we're going down an alley in which we're not sure where the end of that's going to be. So I applaud what President Trump has done, and I believe that Secretary Tillerson and Secretary Mattis have really made a case to President Trump to take this action, and I'm glad that he has done so. But I think taking it a step further, we have to see what the plan is, and I agree that Congress has to be brought in. They have to be briefed. They have to be brought on board, because this is going to be much bigger than one strike. If others are to follow, there has to be a much greater participation by Congress.
Because as you know, Secretary Cohen, this changes the overall U.S. strategy for 6 years of this civil war, of this brutal war in Syria. The Obama administration hit various ISIS targets in Syria, but never once went directly after a Syrian government military position, a position of the Syrian regime. All of a sudden now, President Trump orders a strike against the Syrian military base. This changes the overall U.S. direction, right?
It does change the policy towards Syria, to be sure. I want to make one other point. When the Russians say that this is either a violation of international law, I mean, really, the Russians shot down, or their pawns shot down the Malaysian jet 17, as I recall, 3 years ago. They refused to allow the international community to come in and make any kind of a finding as to who was responsible. So we can't take their denial. It's denial, deflection, and deceit on their part. So I think that this does mark a change in our relationship with what President Trump hoped to have with Russia, and Russia is being exposed for what it really is, and that is a supporter of a really corrupt regime and a tyrannical one. So I think it's going to change our relationship, and it's going to, I think, cause President Trump to become more engaged. He wants to come back to America. He wants to have nation building here at home. But the reality is that the world's a dangerous place, that yes, he inherited it. He also campaigned for it. So now it's time for him to develop a strategy in dealing with all the disparate elements there are in the world, pulling his team together, beefing up the State Department. Rex Tillerson needs a deputy. He needs a big staff to help him work all of these issues, because every single issue is related to the rest of the world. And you can't just do one piece at a time. It has to be comprehensive.
Should the Trump administration now wait for congressional action, passing of legislation authorizing the use of military force before taking additional direct military action against various Syrian military targets?
I think the president always has the power to act unilaterally when time does not allow for a full discussion. I think this action was authorized. I don't think he had to go to Congress for this power, but to the extent this is the beginning of something much larger and is going to affect multiple parties, multiple countries, then I think it's time for Congress at least to have the opportunity to be heard. I don't expect them to be overwhelmingly in favor of any action. As has been pointed out by David Gregory, Congress has not exactly been a braveheart when it comes to making decisions